In order to subscribe to my channel, please click here or click here. Please share, comment, and like my videos and channel. Hey guys, welcome to SaaS with ServiceNow. Let's continue with vulnerability response application and modules. In this session, I will walk you through the application of VR and its various modules. This is my personal developer instance. VR application is a scoped application. So you can see I have selected VR application, vulnerability response. In the left-hand side, you will see VR application and its various modules. You will also see related to VR, that is Qualys vulnerability integration. However, we will talk about this application and its modules in later sections. Let's talk about VR application and its modules. The first module we have is overview. Now this will show you the overview of all the different records you have in VR application. For example, how many items are open? What is the remediation status? Any deferred vulnerable items, any open vulnerable items by vulnerability. Now these are different, you can see different metrics they have selected, and it is out of the box. The next module we have is remediation overview. Like overview shows whatever records we have. It shows the status, different vulnerabilities we have received. That's something you will see in overview. In remediation overview, as in VR application, our target is to remediate all vulnerabilities of our organization. In that case, in this particular section, in this particular dashboard, you will see all the status of different vulnerabilities and items assigned to you. So you can see it says assigned to my groups and assigned to me. As of now, nothing is assigned right now, and that's the reason you might not see some data in this particular window. The next section we have is vulnerabilities, and that's a really important section now. The first module we have under vulnerabilities is vulnerability group. We talked about it earlier that whatever vulnerable items we get in ServiceNow, which are being imported from third-party source, maybe like scanner, you get into that and then you group them. That's grouping is basically vulnerability group record. If you will open it, you will see the number, you will see some risk rating, risk score, remediation target, remediation status, state as well. You will see assignment group, assigned to, and short description here. It says vulnerabilities with known exploits, and this is the vulnerability we have to resolve for this particular group. Now which item is included? That is vulnerable item, that is this one. So that's what you can see in vulnerability groups. And it also shows that excludes deferred, so how many items are there, includes deferred, how many items, VI remediated, if whatever vulnerable items we have in this particular VG, how many of them are remediated. That's something you can see from this particular view as well. And then we have notes. The next module we have is vulnerable items. That means whatever vulnerability we have. Now, what are the items we have created from those vulnerability for different configuration items? So if I will click any single record, VI record, so basically people or like even if you will be working in a VR application, you will hear these terminologies, these terms like VG and VI. So nobody directly says vulnerability groups or vulnerable items. You can just say VI and VGs. Now this is the VI item. You will see the important fields here. One is configuration item. And another one you will see vulnerability. That means on this particular configuration item, this might be part of your organization and it is in your CMDB. It created this, it basically created the record, this VIE for this particular vulnerability. That means this item has this particular vulnerability. Maybe it was found by your scanner. Now it can be assigned to someone, an assignment group, assigned to same thing, risk rating, risk score. Then this tab shows the data, the details about the vulnerability. That is something you can see here. Then we have configuration details, that whatever endpoint which was found, you can see the details in this particular section. Then you have closure section, and then you have notes. As of now, I think this one is fixed. So this is what we have in vulnerable items module. You will see all the VI items, that means vulnerable items, VI records. Then we have open. Now this will show you all open VGs. You can see here. Then we have assigned to me. That means all the VGs which are assigned to myself, the logged in user, you can see here. Now, why we have these modules just for VGs, not for VIs? And the reason behind it, as I mentioned earlier, that only VGs are supposed to be remediated. When I say only VGs, because VGs basically they are inherited from task. VI is just for catching up the data, importing the data. You can group them and then remediate them after assigning to someone. Because you might have millions of records. Now you can't remediate millions of records like quickly. In that case, you have to group them as per the conditions, as per the like team structure you have in your organization, or might be some different conditions. Then we have assigned to my groups, so all the VGs assigned to my groups. Then we have my approvals. If I have any approval to give, then in that case I can see those records here. And then we have ungrouped VI items. That means vulnerable items, whatever VI records which are not being grouped yet, you can see in this particular view. The next module we have is libraries. Now we were talking about vulnerabilities because that is the most important factor here for this module. Because if you will get, because you have to track all the vulnerabilities, what are vulnerabilities we have in this as part of the standard perspective and in your organization. The first record we have is NVD. Now this is, you can see it says National Vulnerability Database Entries. Now if you remember, I mentioned in my first session that we have an organization that is NIST, which basically publish all the vulnerabilities we have for all different softwares, all different systems, or maybe operating system. You will find over there. What ServiceNow is doing, ServiceNow is just downloading those records in ServiceNow and importing those records directly, so that you can track each one of them. Maybe that particular vulnerability is in your system, one of your system. Then we have CWE, that is Common Weakness Enumeration. Now this one is basically only for software. So whatever weaknesses we have which can increase the risk for threats, for vulnerability, that you can see in this particular library. You will have all CWE records. And then we have third party. Now this one is basically from another system which we mentioned about, for example, a scanner. So you might have different scanners in your organization, maybe Rapid7, maybe Qualys, or maybe Tenable. As of now, this is showing you the data which was found by Tenable. But if you have Qualys or any other scanners which scans all the vulnerabilities of your organization, that can also be integrated, and you can import data in this particular system. So whatever vulnerabilities were found in your environment, in your organization, and they are on that particular source, that in Qualys, for example, they will be imported automatically in this particular system. And this is like a knowledge base that, okay, these are the vulnerabilities which were found in your system. You can see it shows the data, that which category it is, what kind of vulnerability it is, attack. It also shows you the remediation notes. That means how exactly you can remediate them, maybe by patching, maybe by upgrade, whatever step. That's what. We have some other records like CVEs. Now, this CVE basically is the same information which we imported from NVD as well. So it tries to relate them, whether we have the same kind of vulnerability in NVD data or not. So that's what it tries to search. So this is about libraries. So whenever you hear libraries, that means it is talking about vulnerabilities. Now the important thing which I want to show you, just show you the table. So for third-party vulnerability entry, we have this table. However, this table is extended from vulnerability entry. So this is the parent table, base table for all the vulnerabilities you have in your system, even for NVD. If I show you NVD and I show you the table, you will see it extends from vulnerability entry. So this is about libraries. So you have a parent table, that is VE. The next section we have about vulnerability scanning. Now, if you have Qualys, for example, ServiceNow also gives you a functionality so that you can directly scan your environment with the help of ServiceNow. It can trigger the scanning directly from ServiceNow. So the first we have in this particular module, it shows the exposure assessments, that as part of the scanning, whatever assessment was done, it is scanning different configuration items from your scanner, and that's kind of assessment you will see here. Then we have scans. So you can trigger different scans from ServiceNow with the different appliances, because you have to first import those appliances in ServiceNow and then you have to trigger them. So that's why you can start running any kind of scan. Then we have a scanner. But what kind of scanner you would have? So here, I think by default, when I enabled Qualys, so it added this scanner, that is Qualys scanner. Then we have scan queue. That means if you're running some scans, you will see those in the queue, and you will see when exactly it got processed, whether it is still processing. That's something you can see in this particular module. Then we have scanner rate limits. Now here you can mention some rate limit. Like for example, you can see it says scan request per minute. You want to scan all the items per minute, that's something you can do here. So that's you can customize it, or maybe add more limits as per your requirement. Then we have rate limit definition, that whatever rate limit we have in the scanner, those you can define in this particular module, that is rate limit definitions. We will definitely talk about these modules in details later. Then we have administration section, where it normally, like in ServiceNow, you should have this kind of section where you can administer the application. And the first module we have under administration is setup assistance. Now this setup assistant is basically, you must be aware that it is not only in this application, it is also in some other application, where ServiceNow shows you the path, that how exactly you can implement, you can configure any application. So ServiceNow is also giving this setup assistance in VR application as well. I think it's taking a little bit more time, you can see, to open. Maybe I will show you to show it later. Then we have assignment rules. Now I will explain you the little bit process around VR application, but I will also explain in details later. Now in VR application, basically the overall process is that if you have a scanning system where you have all the vulnerabilities for your different endpoints, you import those data into ServiceNow. Now, but how exactly you will decide that which team has to remediate it? In that case, assignment rule is really important. So when you import the data and when you write the assignment rule prior to importing it, now once you will done with assignment rules conditions, then once your data will be inserted, you will see it will be assigned, your vulnerable items will be assigned as per the conditions you will mention in these rules. So that's how it will decide. And then after defining the assignment groups, then you will have grouping as well accordingly. And then different teams can remediate those VGs within specific SLA. So as you can see, we have assignment rules. I will show you maybe one of the assignment rule, that is workstation assignment rule. You will see that we have assign using assignment group field, a script. Now which assignment group we are talking about? VI. And what assignment group field we are talking about? The field we have is CI item field. So there's a assignment group field over there. So that's what you can select. So we have assignment group, any field which is related to the assignment group field. If you will select it, you will see which group field it is talking about. So you will see we have CI item approval group, assignment group, or support group. And the last we have a script. That means ServiceNow also gives you an opportunity to customize these rules as per your requirement. Maybe it is not doable with just these configurations. In that case, you can use scripting. Then we have vulnerability calculators. Now, this is something related to the risk calculation, because while you will have multiple vulnerable items, you definitely want to provide them some kind of a priority, some kind of a risk score. Because for example, you have to decide that which vulnerability I have to resolve first. It might happen that you might get very high priority risk. It can ruin your system maybe in 1 or 2 days. In that case, you have to resolve it as soon as possible, or maybe quickly. That's what you can define in these calculators. And then we have roll-up calculators. Now, roll-up calculators basically that you calculate all these risk score in VI records, but you have to roll up them to VG records. That's what you will do in vulnerability roll-up calculator. Then we have remediation target rules. Now, this is one of the important module, I would say, because here you will define that as per the score, as per the priority, or different conditions you will mention here. You will provide some rules that how exactly it should select the remediation target. So for example, if you have some items, maybe risk score is maybe 10 or so, just an example. And you will mention the rule here that if risk score is 10, the target days to remediate that particular vulnerability group is just maybe 5 days. So your SLA will run accordingly. And end users, they might get emails as per the target days you will mention. Then we have vulnerability group rules. Now here you will define the grouping, that how exactly you want to group all those vulnerable items. You will have millions of records, but how you want to group them so that you can assign to the right team and they can resolve that kind of vulnerability. Next, we have NVD auto update. Now in this section, whatever data we get from NIST, that is NVD data, you can just like get the frequent data, and you can select it right here and enable it. And in this case, when you will enable it, it will automatically update the NVD data for that particular year. You can see we have till 2002. Then we have notifications. Now this is just out of the box platform notifications. So you can enable, disable, or you can add more notifications. Then we have email templates, specifically for VR application. You have specific templates which you can use. As of now, it's one out of the box, but you can create your own templates as per your organization requirement or your customer requirement. Then we have import queue. Now here, whatever data we are importing, you will see the queue here. You can track them whether the data is being processed successfully or not. Then we have integrations. Now, what are the different integrations involved that you can see in this module? We are not talking about all these integrations because we will do it in later sections. But as of now, this particular module shows all the integration you have for VR application. Then we have on-demand update. On-demand update is basically for NVD. So if you want to import data of NVD for that particular year, you can just check that box, click on import, data will be imported. I'm not showing right now. I'm not clicking this button because this is just a module walkthrough session. So I will show you later how exactly this data is imported. Then we have SLA definitions. So you can create different SLAs for your VG records, that how exactly it is being remediated, or any other steps you want to involve that you can do in SLA definitions to track the SLAs. And the last, we have normalized severity maps. Now here you can see we have like a target value for NVD, we have for Qualys. It's just a severity map, that what kind of source value I would have and what kind of target value I will have for severity. So for example, from Qualys I'm getting 5, but in target it should be critical. That's something you can map those data into the severity maps. And the reason behind it, you can see we're getting 5 from Qualys, but ideally for Qualys the 5 is critical, but in ServiceNow it normally happens that 1 is critical. So that's how you can define these severity maps in this module. So I hope you like this session. So thanks for watching my video. Have a great day.